What up, Blockchain Nation? All right, so programming interviews, coding challenges, especially if you're interviewing with major companies like a FANG company, meaning Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, even LinkedIn and Microsoft, they kind of use the same format, which is a whiteboarding kind of coding style, algorithmic or data structure kind of interview, where they give you a problem and then you have to solve it in 30, 45 minutes, or they give you a platform like HackerRank where you have to go online and solve the problem in 45 minutes. Anyways, in preparing for all these kinds of coding challenges, now not every single company does this, but obviously the big ones, the Facebooks and the FANG companies, this is their standard style. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. And in my opinion, there are some benefits to interviewing that way, arguably. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk real quick about, in my personal opinion, or not necessarily just my opinion, of my style of preparing for these interviews, what has worked for me. Now, I want to start by saying there's so many resources out there, and it's really, really scary. From actual physical materials or textbooks, if you are more of a visual person in terms of using textbooks. You have cracking the coding interview, you have design patterns, that's for systems design. You have elements of programming interviews in Python, and you have books or a particular very famous textbook on algorithms. So we have all these textbooks, and then just to add, there's so many resources out there. I mean, I'll show you real quick. You got Algo Expert, you got LeetCode, you got Interview Cake, and then of course there's this YouTuber named Joma who has this cool resource called Joma Class. You have Code Chef, you got Code Wars, you got coding games, and the list goes on and on and on. And there are more things here that I can even begin to just count. And every time you're on YouTube, there's some person out there who has an ad that talks about this is the platform to use. I know it can be undaunting. Like for me personally, when a recruiter reaches out to you and says, hey, especially in the major company like a Google or Facebook, and says, hi, we'd like you to interview with us, and you have some time to prepare. Maybe you have 4 weeks, maybe you have 6 weeks, and you begin to panic. What are resources to use? At least in my personal experience, I realized that I begin to grasp for straws, at least earlier before, where I'll just begin to look at different resources and I'll try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that, because I'm trying to cover every single aspect. But what I've realized, I just want to talk about what works for me and how I prepare for coding interviews. So I want to start by saying I'm more of a visual person in terms of I like videos. Videos are great. I like using videos to prepare. I like stuff that you can watch and like a video tutorial. So I use Algo Expert. Now, Algo Expert is one of the things I use. I like Algo Expert for a couple of reasons. Well, it's pricey, I know, but don't shoot me for that. But I'll show you real quick. I'm sure a lot of people out here have Algo Expert. Some of you don't. I'm not getting paid to do this. But one thing I like about Algo Expert is the video explanation. So there's a conceptual overview which explains the problem, and someone, or Clement and his team, someone talks through how the application looks like, or what talks through the problem, how the solution is, speaks to the algorithm and speaks about how that works. And then obviously there's now the code review, the solution, which is in actual code, which I kind of like that. One other thing I like about Algo Expert is it has a feature where you can have a data structures crash course. Now, one thing that helped me with this was I had a problem with complexity analysis. I never understood big O notation. I have this huge graph or chart here in my home office where that explains, big O, and I never really understood the concept. I've looked at different resources online, but for me, this really helped me. This and cracking the coding interview helped me to really understand big O notation. So in my opinion, this was a good way of getting to understanding the big O notation. So this is one resource that I use. So how do I use this? Pretty much I just go over the content. At least I just go over the interview questions, and I try to solve the problem on my own. I try to arrange it by category. That way I can do some problems in my array, some binary search. So I like the approach of at least solving some problems in each category, whether it's recursion or linked list. And then, some problems, just have a huge understanding, then I go over it again. So Algo Expert is one thing that I use. Second thing I use is LeetCode. Personally, I love LeetCode. LeetCode has thousands and thousands of problems. Now, one thing I also love about LeetCode is that in recent times, at least if you're using the premium version, they actually have video explanations where they go over the problems. I can't remember where it was, but like that's one thing I liked about Algo Expert, the fact that there's a video walkthrough. I forget where it is. It's somewhere here. Explore. You look at some problems. Look at this one. I think it's this one where you can actually go over a video video is in a solution that explains, walks through the algorithm before actually implementing in code. So I don't think you necessarily have to do Algo Expert and lead code. It's just something that I've chosen to do. But in I think, and it's not too here we go, where there's a video explanation. So it's not very pricey for lead code. I think it's like $35 a month. And I think you can quit or you can cancel it whenever you are done, or whenever you're done with it, or you've done your interview. So I think, in my opinion, it's something that's worth it. So lead code 2 is good. So for me, I use Algo Expert. I don't use Algo Expert. I like the video explanations, but now with lead code, with the way lead code has video explanations, I'm sure it's a feature that's always been there. Who knows? I just discovered it. Hey, shoot me. But this is definitely something that I like. I like that about it. So you can read through the problems, read through the text, and then there's video explanation that actually works through the problem. So I like Algo Expert, and I also like using the premium version of lead code. For you out there, it might be either or. And the last thing I like to use, or the last tool that I use, is Cracking the Coding Interview, which I think is a great book. I mean, this is like the almighty master book for coding, solving coding problems. So definitely you want to get that book, Cracking the Coding Interview. There are videos. I won't go into how you should use that book, because there are so many videos on YouTube about talks about how you can walk through that book. So I don't want to do another video about that, but I'll put some links below, some that I've watched that I think are really great. So those are the 3 major things that I use. I use Cracking the Coding Interview, I use Algo Expert, and I use lead code. But I think one of either lead code or Algo Expert, either or. You can use either or, and I think lead code, in my opinion, might be something that you might also want to lean towards. Now, there's some other tools out there. I don't use this as my primary tools to practice, but sometimes, like my downtime on my cell phone, I use Joma. Now, Joma, like I said, I'm a visual person. I like videos. So Joma has a very cool way of, for instance, I actually went through this, has a very cool way of, his videos are really good. I wish I could show you one. Yeah, he has this very interactive approach to explaining stuff. So this is a bit pricey, I know, but for me, sometimes downtime, like I said, it's not the major thing that I use, but my downtime, sometimes I like watching these videos. Just maybe when I'm chilling, maybe I'm having dinner, I just watch some of these videos, and it just helps. Now, there are other tools out there. There's Code Chef, there's Code Wars. These ones, I'll be honest now, I don't really use them too much. But Geeks for Geeks is also a great tool, and I think for the fact that you can also get this free. There's a paid part to this, but there's so many great features that you can get for free on Geeks for Geeks. So it's not my primary tool, but sometimes, maybe once a week, I just come here and look at the different problems on that. Interviewing IO is also a great way. You can actually see a real problem. You can actually walk through. That's the first time I watched this, I almost freaked out. Where you'll see it's an actual coding interview, whereby an engineer is walking through an actual interview. It's like, so I'm talking too fast. So Interviewing IO, it's a great platform that allows you to do mock interviews. And you can actually watch some of these mock interviews just to get a feel of what it's like. I remember the first time I watched it, I said, oh my goodness, I'm going to die if that's me. But yeah, it's a good one. So my downtime too, I watch some of these videos. And you'll be surprised what you can learn. Also, HackerRank has a nice playlist with the author of Cracking the Coding Interview, which is Gail Badal, and so these are not my primary things. Like I said in the beginning, like I mentioned, I'm sometimes when I started preparing for coding interviews, I was always over the place. I use this resource and use this resource. So now I just use lead code, Algo Expert, Cracking the Coding Interview. But sometimes when I'm chilling, I'm supposed to watching Netflix, binge watching Netflix, or watching movies. In my downtime, I just watch some of these videos just to keep myself sharp. Anyways, last thing I also talk about is this is a very cool tool, SDEskills.com. Now, these guys are so cool that every single weekday, they have a data structures and algorithms class on which they practice lead code problems. They walk you through 2 problems every single day from Monday to Friday. It's really cool. I mean, I've watched some of these. It's a Zoom call. You can ask questions. Also on system design on Saturdays and data structures and algorithms every single Sunday. So this is very, I like this too. Like, so sometimes, and it's at 11 p.m. Eastern for me. So in the middle of like my lunch break, I just take my time and watch this as well. And there's some great resources here that you can also go through. Now, it's a lot of items, but I just pick my main 3. The others, I don't focus so much on. I have to go through all these platforms every single day. Just every now and then, like my downtime when I'm watching TV or otherwise. But for the most part, I solve problems on lead code. I also use Algo Expert, and I like using cracking the old code interview. So how I use those tools is I just go through a problem, try and get stuck. Maybe after 45 minutes, an hour, if I haven't figured it out, then I look at the video walkthrough, go through the solution, and the more that I've been doing that, the better I've been getting at it personally. So that's just me. So I hope this helps. Please let us know what tools you guys use out there, how you're preparing for your coding interviews. I think, in my opinion, this is period there with all these companies expanding, with software eating the world. There are always going to be a need for software engineers. And if FAANG companies are using this approach, I know there's some other companies out there that people out there who are watching don't believe in coding interviews. You rather focus on solving a real problem, maybe a take-home assignment. I've had that interviewing before, where they give you a project to build in React. That's great, but if you're interviewing one of these companies and they require that you do a coding interview, these are the tools that worked for me. And my approach is not to be too long and working on too many platforms, but just focusing on the 3. And those are the ones I just use every now and then, maybe in my downtime when I'm watching TV. As opposed to watching TV, I just watch those. But pretty much that's how I prepare. So let us know how you prepare. Put some comments below. What tools do you use? How do you prepare for your coding interviews? And until next time, I always say my wish for you is that you learn how to code, because coding is changing and will change the world. And those who get involved early, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that's you, let's go change the world.
If you would like to create more awareness for your brand or content, or you would like to earn additional income, register now on www.CLIQKI.com. The more you share, the more you earn. CLIQKI.